"I want to learn English," Maria whispered to herself as she sat alone in her room. Growing up in a small village in Spain, Maria had always dreamed of traveling the world, but her lack of English skills held her back. She felt trapped, unable to communicate with the outside world. Determined to change her fate, Maria decided to take action. First, she enrolled in a local English class. The teacher, Mrs. Thompson, was kind and patient, but the other students were not. They mocked Maria's accent and laughed when she made mistakes. Feeling humiliated, Maria often left class in tears. Despite the bullying, she refused to give up. "I'll show them," she thought, using their cruelty as motivation to work even harder. Maria spent hours each day practicing. She listened to English songs, watched movies with subtitles, and read children's books to build her vocabulary. She recorded herself speaking and compared it to native speakers, slowly but surely improving her pronunciation. Her family, though supportive, couldn't fully understand the depth of her struggles. Her younger brother, Carlos, would sometimes mimic her accent playfully, and though he meant no harm, it stung Maria deeply. One day, Mrs. Thompson noticed Maria's dedication. After class, she approached Maria and handed her a small, worn-out book. "This is a collection of short stories in English," she said. "I believe it will help you. Keep practicing and don't let anyone discourage you." Maria took the book home and devoured it. The stories transported her to different worlds, and she found herself speaking the characters' lines out loud, mimicking their expressions and emotions. She felt her confidence growing with each page. Months passed, and Maria's hard work began to pay off. She could hold basic conversations and understand more complex sentences. However, the bullying persisted. One particularly cruel student, Elena, seemed to take pleasure in belittling Maria. "You'll never speak English fluently," Elena sneered one day. "Why don't you just give up?" Maria's heart sank, but she looked Elena in the eyes and said firmly, "I will never give up. One day I'll speak English better than you." Determined to prove Elena wrong, Maria started participating in online language exchange programs. She connected with people from around the world, practicing English with native speakers. She made friends who encouraged her and shared their own language-learning struggles, making her feel less alone. Through these conversations, Maria learned about different cultures and perspectives, broadening her horizons. One of her new friends, James from the UK, became a significant part of her journey. He was patient and supportive, helping her with grammar and pronunciation. Their conversations were filled with laughter and genuine connection, giving Maria the confidence she needed. James introduced Maria to his friend group, a vibrant mix of personalities from different countries. They had weekly video calls where they discussed everything from their favorite books to current events. Maria found herself eagerly looking forward to these calls. Each interaction boosted her fluency and confidence. She learned to laugh at her mistakes rather than be embarrassed by them. As Maria's English improved, she began to share her story with others. She started a blog, writing about her journey and the obstacles she faced. Her honest and emotional posts resonated with many readers, inspiring them to persevere in their own language-learning endeavors. She received messages from people all over the world, thanking her for sharing her experiences. This feedback further motivated Maria to keep pushing forward. One day, Maria was invited to speak at a local event about overcoming adversity. Nervous but determined, She stood before the audience and shared her story. She spoke fluently and passionately, captivating everyone with her journey from a bullied girl to a confident English speaker. Elena, who was in the audience, watched in awe. After Maria's speech, she approached her with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry for how I treated you," Elena said. "You've shown incredible strength and determination. I'm truly inspired by you." Maria smiled and hugged Elena. "Thank you," she said. "Your words hurt me, but they also pushed me to become better. I hope you find your own strength too." Years later, Maria fulfilled her dream of traveling the world. She visited countries she had only read about in books and made friends wherever she went. Her fluency in English opened doors to opportunities she never imagined possible. Looking back, Maria realized that the journey was filled with drama, emotional highs and lows, and moments of self-doubt. But through it all, she learned that determination, resilience, and kindness could overcome any obstacle. And most importantly, she discovered the power of her own voice, speaking fluently and confidently in a language that once seemed impossible to master. The journey begins. In the quiet village of Santa Maria del Valle, life was simple. Maria's home was a cozy, whitewashed house with a red-tiled roof and a garden bursting with vibrant flowers. Her parents, both hard-working farmers, had always encouraged her dreams, even if they didn't fully understand them. They were proud of her determination, but worried about the toll it took on her. Every morning, Maria woke up before dawn to help her parents in the fields. The early hours were spent picking ripe tomatoes and peppers, her hands moving quickly as she chatted with her mother. Despite the hard work, these moments were precious to Maria. They reminded her of the strength and resilience she inherited from her family. After the morning chores, Maria would rush to the small community center where Mrs. Thompson held her English classes. The room was modest, with old wooden desks and a chalkboard that had seen better days. But for Maria, it was a gateway to a new world. Despite the mocking and teasing from her classmates, Maria found solace in Mrs. Thompson's encouragement. The teacher's gentle voice guided her through the complexities of English grammar and pronunciation. Every new word was a victory, and every sentence spoken correctly felt like a small triumph. The struggle intensifies. However, the bullying was relentless. Elena, a girl with a sharp tongue and a disdainful look, was the ringleader. She had a knack for finding Maria's insecurities and exploiting them. "Your accent is so thick, Maria," she would taunt. "No one will ever understand you." Maria's friends in the village were sympathetic but distant, unsure of how to support her. Even her best friend, Sophia, seemed hesitant. Sophia had always been there for Maria, but now she felt a growing distance between them. "Maybe you should take a break," Sophia suggested one day. "You're working so hard, and it's causing you so much pain." But Maria was resolute. She continued to practice, often staying up late into the night with her nose buried in books and her ears glued to English audio tapes. Her nights were filled with the sounds of foreign words, her mouth shaping them over and over until they felt natural. A turning point. Maria's breakthrough came when Mrs. Thompson gave her the worn-out book of short stories. Each tale was a new adventure, a new opportunity to practice and learn. She read them aloud, her voice trembling at first but growing stronger with each story. She acted out the dialogues, imagining herself as the characters, living their lives, feeling their emotions. At the same time, Maria discovered the power of the Internet. She found online language exchange programs and dived into them headfirst. She met people from all over the world who were also learning new languages. They shared their struggles and successes, creating a supportive community that Maria desperately needed. One of these new friends was James, a kind and patient young man from the UK. Their initial conversations were awkward, filled with pauses and misunderstandings. But James was patient, correcting Maria gently and encouraging her to keep going. Their friendship blossomed, and soon, their conversations became a highlight of Maria's week. Building confidence. James introduced Maria to his diverse group of friends, each one adding a new dimension to her learning experience. They discussed books, movies, politics, and personal stories. Maria's vocabulary expanded rapidly, and her confidence grew. She started to enjoy the process, seeing it not just as a means to an end, but as a journey in itself. Her blog became a platform where she documented her progress and shared her experiences. She wrote about the good days when everything clicked and the bad days when she felt like giving up. Her honesty resonated with readers, and she started receiving messages of support from around the globe. People shared their own stories of struggle and perseverance, creating a network of inspiration and motivation. Facing the bully. The day of the local event arrived, and Maria stood nervously backstage, her hands shaking. She had been invited to speak about overcoming adversity, and she couldn't help but think about the long journey that had led her to this moment. As she stepped onto the stage, she took a deep breath and began to speak. Her voice was steady, her words clear. She talked about her dreams, her struggles, and the people who had supported her along the way. She shared her pain, her determination, and the joy of small victories. The audience was silent, hanging on her every word. When she finished, the applause was overwhelming. Maria looked out at the crowd and saw Elena standing there, tears streaming down her face. After the event, Elena approached her and apologized. "I was wrong," she admitted. "You've shown incredible strength, and I'm truly inspired by you." A new chapter. Years later, Maria's dreams of traveling the world came true. She visited countries she had only read about in books and made friends wherever she went. Her fluency in English opened doors to opportunities she never imagined possible. She found work as a translator, a job that allowed her to bridge cultures and connect with people from all walks of life. One memorable trip took her to India, where she volunteered at a school teaching English to children. The vibrant colors, the bustling markets, and the warmth of the people captivated her. She found joy in helping the children, seeing a bit of her younger self in their eager eyes. Maria's fluency allowed her to connect deeply with the students, and she used storytelling to make learning fun and engaging for them. As Maria continued her travels, she found herself in different parts of the world, each place adding a new layer to her understanding of languages and cultures. In France, she learned to appreciate the nuances of language learning as she grappled with French. In Japan, she marveled at the complexity and beauty of the written characters. Every new language she encountered was a reminder of her journey and the power of perseverance. Unexpected romance. During her travels, Maria met Daniel, an American journalist who was covering a story in Brazil. They met at a local coffee shop, where Maria was practicing Portuguese. Daniel was immediately impressed by her dedication and passion for languages. They struck up a conversation that flowed effortlessly, their mutual love for travel and languages forming a strong bond. Their relationship blossomed as they explored the world together. Daniel's presence brought a new sense of adventure to Maria's life. They hiked through the mountains of Peru, sailed along the coast of Greece, and wandered the ancient streets of Rome. With Daniel by her side, Maria's confidence soared even higher. But their journey was not without its challenges. The nature of Daniel's work meant they were often apart, communicating through video calls and messages. There were times when the distance felt unbearable, but their shared dreams and goals kept them connected. Maria's ability to speak English fluently became the cornerstone of their relationship, allowing them to bridge the physical distance with emotional closeness. Returning home. After years of traveling, Maria decided it was time to return to her village in Spain. She wanted to give back to the community that had shaped her. With Daniel's support, she opened a language school in Santa Maria del Valle. Her mission was to inspire and help others, just as she had been inspired and helped. The school quickly became a beacon of hope for many young people in the village. Maria's story was well known, and her journey became a source of inspiration for her students. She taught them with the same passion and dedication that had driven her to learn English. She emphasized the importance of perseverance, resilience, and the belief that they could achieve their dreams, no matter the obstacles. One day, while teaching a class, Maria noticed a shy girl sitting at the back of the room. Her name was Lucia, and she reminded Maria of herself at that age. Lucia struggled with English, often getting frustrated and discouraged. Maria took her under her wing, providing extra lessons and encouragement. Slowly but surely, Lucia's confidence grew, and she began to believe in herself. Full circle. Maria's journey had come full circle. She had gone from a young girl with a dream, bullied and discouraged, to a confident woman who had traveled the world, found love, and made a difference in her community. Her fluency in English had opened doors to incredible opportunities and allowed her to touch the lives of many. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Maria sat on the porch of her childhood home with Daniel. They looked out over the fields, the same fields she had worked in as a child. "I never imagined my life would turn out this way," Maria said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You've come a long way," Daniel replied, holding her hand, "and you've inspired so many people along the way, including me." Maria smiled, thinking about all the people she had met, the places she had seen, and the lives she had touched. She realized that her journey was not just about learning a new language. It was about discovering her own strength, resilience, and the power of her dreams. In that moment, Maria knew that she had achieved something far greater than she had ever imagined. She had not only learned to speak English fluently, but had also found her voice, her purpose, and her place in the world. And she knew that as long as she held on to her dreams and believed in herself, anything was possible. Epilogue. Years passed, and Maria's language school became a renowned institution. People from neighboring towns sent their children to learn from the woman who had once struggled to speak a single sentence in English. Her students won competitions, traveled for exchange programs, and some even became language teachers themselves. Elena, the girl who had once bullied Maria, became one of her closest friends. After Maria's inspirational speech, Elena had decided to make amends and work on her own issues. She enrolled in the same language exchange programs Maria had used, and with Maria's help, she too became fluent in English. Elena eventually joined Maria as a teacher at the language school, and together they created a nurturing environment for students. Maria and Daniel continued their adventures, albeit on a smaller scale. They balanced their time between the school and their travels, always returning with new stories and experiences to share with their students. Maria's blog turned into a successful book, inspiring thousands of readers around the world. Looking back, Maria saw her life as a testament to the power of dreams, hard work, and the belief that anything is possible. Her journey was a reminder that even in the face of adversity, one could rise, flourish, and make a lasting impact on the world. And as she stood in front of her students, guiding them on their own journeys, she knew that her story was far from over. It was just beginning.